No,
give me your top 5 right now, then I'll give you your top 5
for the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I think Jaxson
After
Dart was number 1 for me. Jaxson Dart. I think Tyler Shock was number 2. Number 3.
So you're not even putting Cam Ward and Shedeur up.
Oh, I'm saying for the combine.
I'm saying like after. This combine,
okay.
Yeah, like
so right now I got
5.
Cam, I got Jaxson Dart, I got Shedeur, I got Tyler Shock, and I got Dillan Gabriel.
Okay.
Jalen Milroe will be my 6.
See, so mine were Cam Ward. I like Jalen Milroe to be 2, Jaxson Dart 3, and then I'm agreeing with you that Dillan Gabriel is good, but he's going to be my 6.
That's
I
fair.
like how both of us have like our 6 guys as part of us.
Yeah, swap.
That's just a good teammate right there.
Of course.
This one's going to be a little out there, but
Seth Hannigan.
Kyle McCord.
Yeah, he looked
number
good too.
4.
Yep.
And then Shedeur at 5. All right. So, Mike, big news coming out this week out of the NFL. I mean, we had the combine. We had Tee Higgins news with the Bengals. We had breaking news this morning with Sam Darnold. Breaking news yesterday with Darius Slay. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the combine since that's kind of the big news of the weekend?
That's big news at the moment.
That's the biggest news. All right. Take us through it.
Again, disclaimer here. This is the NFL Combine, okay? Like, some people might move up the board. Some people might not. Obviously, the numbers will help some of these rookies or potential rookies that are coming in. We are not basing any of these combine statistics off, oh my God, this guy's immediately a first-round pick. This guy's going in the 7th round. It's not going to happen like that, all right? It's nice to just see the measurements, them just having fun out there. So I'm just going to put that out there before anyone starts roasting us like the guys on Twitter. Like, they didn't even mention the banged-up receivers.
You know what's crazy about that? Like, I cut it right where we started talking about it on purpose.
Yep.
And I knew that was going to happen, and these dumbass Texans fans got it all in their bag. I mean, the one guy actually tried to help us. Did he? Try to help us. He's been reaching out. Good guy. Really nice guy. Texans reporter. Very nice. Very nice guy. But that child that was coming at us saying we didn't talk about injuries, buddy, just tell us you're a casual of the B team. I mean, all you had to do was watch 0.5 more seconds of that clip in the actual show, and you have all your answers.
I went through his bio, and he was a Texans fan, Knicks fan, Rangers fan, Mets fan. I'm like, huh.
I saw that. He's kind of like the reverse me, in a way.
Yes, he is.
He's like the reverse me.
Never seen something like that before.
Actually, he is me, I guess.
3
Texans.
out of the 4 of your teams are from one state, and then obviously you root for the Houston Texans in your 4th. Very odd. Obviously, that happens with some fans, but shout out to you for commenting. He wants to come on, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. One thing, they got to take this with a grain of salt. It's not like we watch every freaking one of these teams like religiously. Like, have we watched?
I'm sorry. Why would we watch the Texans religiously?
How?
Why would we watch the Colts?
Jaguars?
Do you think I wanted to go to the Jets Colts game? Fuck no.
Yeah.
But I went there because my friends are Jets and Colts fans, and they all fell asleep. I was awake the whole game, hammered, but I was awake.
Yeah,
I was awake. Terrible team.
Cheese slices in the
Jags,
hoods.
Terrible. I only watch them when they're in London.
Yeah, that's
Titans, terrible.
One day when this is our full-time gig, we will be able to watch all these guys.
I don't know if I could promise that, to be honest with you.
I will.
Even if this is all we did, I don't know that I could promise you that I would want to watch Will Levis each week.
Can you imagine watching every single game for like 2 days in a row? Is there even enough time for that?
I don't know if I would enjoy that. Dude,
I wonder how the analysts do it.
4 TVs, I get it. But I see like Pat McAfee with 12 TVs up watching all these games. How do you even see stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Especially
when they hike at the same time, like the plays are going on at the same exact moment. You're missing out on so much little crucial information.
Actually, I think if they all did each play at the same time, I would see more.
No, I think I'd see less.
Because if everything's moving at different times, everything's just scrambled.
No, that's perfect.
But if they all clap at the same time and get the ball, and then that ball's out, I can just figure out what play is going to be better, and I can watch it.
I'm lost. But what if we miss a big play when it's the Titans versus the Jaguars in the game that no one gives a shit about, you know?
I don't know. If you have 10 TVs on the ball, it's going to be hard to miss.
Rivals. It's funny that I kind of do that in a way.
You do that.
I know. But it's hard still.
Yeah.
But anyways.
All right, let's get to the combine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
just don't know why Titans fans think that we're watching their team.
Texans fans.
Yeah,
yes.
but we have Titans fans too.
Yeah.
Texans fans. That one's a little closer. Your team was good. So we did watch them.
Yes.
The Titans people. I mean, guys, what are we doing? Like, you don't even watch your own games.
I watch them numerous reasons.
From now on, we're making a rule on this show.
No AFC South.
Unless we could talk about them. I'm just saying, like, your ticket prices, your baseline ticket prices have to be above $20 to comment back to us. So, like, Panthers fans right now, no. Titans fans right now, no. Like, you got to be above $20 at your baseline ticket.
Okay, deal.
Have some respect for the game.
Yeah, right. Come on, we're Jets and Cowboys fans here, man. We have a lot more things to worry about than other shitty teams that we don't give a fuck about.
I wouldn't have brought the Jets into it.
I have to care about my shitty team.
That's fine. That's fine.
So with that being said, we are going to finally get into a combine. It's on me. That's on me. All right. So let's talk about the quarterbacks first, and then I'll get into the receivers here. I think, again, I'm not going to be a homer or anything. I'm not pulling bias here. I think Jaxson Dart killed the combine again. He just looks so smooth. His footwork. I thought he was super accurate. I think one thing, especially with a lot of these quarterbacks that I watched, again, the combine, but they were zipping the ball. They were putting very flat, hard line throws to the receivers. There were a couple of the drills where you had that in-out poster out, into the post-out route. Little bit more air under there. I think that's a lot of guys would have rather seen that. I think a lot of them had a good deep ball.
Yeah,
I think Jalen Milroe actually had a pretty good combine. He had overthrew a couple of guys. Yeah. I think, again,
that will happen when you got big hands.
Yeah, bigger hands now. He's got to adjust, so stronger grip. Tends to sail it. I think I'd like to see him a little bit more fluid in his drop step. He was a little bit kind of just standing there. So,
but that's something that we all knew that was going to be the case, because when you watch his Alabama games, a lot of his throws, he's on the move.
He's on the move.
So he shows that he can play on the move. And, if a team takes him and they don't have a great O-line, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because he's used to that.
Yeah.
Not that Alabama had a bad line, but he's used to being able to scramble, get out of the pocket, throw on the run. He's throwing bombs down the field on the run. He's able to take hits. I think those are intangibles that some of these other guys won't have. Like a Quinn Ewers.
Fair. I don't see Jalen as like an Anthony Richardson comp. If he's getting comp to him, I don't see that.
No.
I actually see him as more of a thrower, because AR would obviously had a big arm, so he would just be launching deep balls. Jalen Milroe's gonna hit. He's gonna hit the out routes. He's gonna hit the slants and the drags. Like, he's gonna go more for those short and intermediates, and then of course eventually we'll have a long ball. But again, he's gonna run the ball a lot. He's gonna develop that pass.
I kind of see him as almost like a Dak Prescott in Dak's first couple of years. Like, he's not going to be the highest draft pick. He might even be a later round draft pick, depending on how quarterbacks go in in a couple months. But when he comes into the league, he's going to be that tough, gritty guy. He's got a strong arm. He can get on the run. He can beat you. He has a good arm. It's not great, but it's not bad. Like, I think Dak Prescott is a decent comparison for Jalen Milroe. I don't think that's a negative for him either.
No, not at all. Listen, getting compared to Dak is not a negative in my book.
That feels so good to hear.
Right? It's not. Like, maybe in other people's book it is, but they were comparing Jaxson Dart to Dak. And I was, again, I look at Jaxson Dart and I see Bo. I see Bo Nix. Like, especially not the combine Bo Nix. I saw the player Bo Nix when he played for the Broncos. Very fluid, can run. He's a gunslinger, man. I think he looked good. I think Tyler Shough from Louisville, he's jumping up. He's going to be a hot name too. That dude reminded me of like a Darnold in a way.
Is he going to end up being, like a Zach Wilson? Because you see some of these guys that they're
who
not
knows? I can't
names.
answer that. Yes.
I mean, Zach Wilson was coming into the draft, but he's not like a big name. He wasn't at a school that was dominating. He looks really good in a combine. He's going to look really good on his pro day. But when he gets into the league and guys are flying around him, he's got to get that ball out fast. Is he going to be that guy? I don't know.
I see him as he's a little bit older too. I think he's around like 24 or 25. Yeah. I see him getting drafted, sitting, and then, hey, if you're in some quarterback turmoil right now and you see him in preseason and he's kind of letting it loose a little bit, I see him as a pocket passer. Like, I don't see him really moving around, but the dude could sling it, man. Like, and he's got power. The way he's transferring from his back foot to his right foot, like, just a very, very accurate too. I was really impressed with what I saw from him.
Show me that again.
Just a little here, bam.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Take notes, gentlemen.
Bam, slow-mo.
Boom.
But he was throwing up with some crazy angles. So, like, even like Stafford, a little bit of a sidearm.
Yeah.
I was impressed with him just slinging the ball around. Will Howard.
Bad first day.
He had the fundamentals. Right. Like, I think his delivery was nice, but he was just bad day. Was just missing a bunch of balls. The deep balls were not his forte at the combine. Riley Leonard looked good, even though again Notre Dame quarterback didn't really. There's two groups, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. There's two groups of quarterbacks. I think the first group was much better, but the second group was very consistent. I think they were a little bit lower name guys, not very highly touted. They showed out. I think the receivers on that end did good. There were a couple that I was really impressed with, but Dillan Gabriel. One quick thing. Dillan Gabriel, he's Tua. He's accurate,
Welcome
bro.
to the club.
He's accurate. I'm telling you. Again, this is the combine, but the way he was throwing, he just gets his full body motion in. He's hitting them right in the numbers here.
Yeah.
Deep ball, a little bit too high, a bit too lofted, but I like what I saw from him, and I see him in an offense. But like, I swear to God, I love him to Miami. I don't think he's going to be drafted very high. I think if Miami has some leverage and has room to take a quarterback in the third round, the second round, they maybe make a trade up, and Tua's health obviously is a concern. Like, dude, that guy can fit right in. Obviously, the team's gonna be different. Reek's gonna be gone, but I see so much Tua from him.
Maybe not.
It is. Yes, it's because he's a lefty, but it's his size. It's the way he throws. It's his accuracy. It's the scheme that he's very familiar with. Short, intermediate routes. I think he had a pretty good day as well. People say he didn't because he missed throws. I thought he looked great. And
I think it's hilarious, the whole they missed throws.
It's the combine.
I'm sorry, they didn't play with half the players on the field. How are they supposed to know their speed, where they got to put the ball for them, where they like the ball? Like,
the Jets took a quarterback because of a pro day. Okay, like
that's true.
Yeah, this is why I'm like, it's the combine. Like, I'm scarred for life now. Like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, my brother texted me. He's like, yo, this guy, like, Matthew Golden moving up the boards. I'm like, let me guess. He probably ran a high 40 and that was it. Yeah. Well, you ran a 4.29. I'm like, all right. That doesn't mean everything, Nicholas. All right. No. Love you, kid. You're my brother. But like, that does. John Ross ran a 4.22 and look at his career. Like, he's like, who threw him the ball? I'm like, Nick, you were barely even alive when he fucking made it. Like, don't give me this right now.
Don't do this.
But
give me your top 5 right now, and then I'll give you your top 5
for the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think Jaxson Dart was number 1 for me. Jaxson Dart. I think Tyler Shock was number 2. Number 3.
So you're not even putting Cam Ward and Shedeur up.
Oh, I'm saying for the combine.
I'm saying like after this combine.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
so right now I got
5.
Cam, I got Jaxson Dart, I got Shedeur, I got Tyler Shock, and I got Dillan Gabriel.
Okay.
Jalen Milroe will be my 6.
See, so mine were Cam Ward. I like Jalen Milroe to be 2, Jaxson Dart 3, and then I'm agreeing with you that Dillan Gabriel is good, but he's going to be my 6.
That's
fair. Like how both of us have like our 6 guys as part of us.
Yeah, swaps.
That's just a good teammate right there.
Of course.
This one's going to be a little out there, but
Seth Hannigan.
Kyle McCord.
Yeah, he looked good too.
Number 4.
Yep.
And then Shedeur at 5. I think Kyle McCord could be very good if he's put in the right situation.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be put in a team that the O-line is absolute dog crap. If he needs
to put on a winner.
I think if he can go somewhere he can sit a year behind a vet, I think that'd be great for him. Mm-hmm. And I think he'd be a very good quarterback, almost like a Bo Nix.
Again, I think most of these quarterbacks that we just listed off, 5 of them can potentially be starters in this league. Again, we've already gone over the teams that need quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Like, those guys, if you draft them, they might be 2 or 3 of them that are day 2 picks. I think 2 of them at least.
Yep.
I don't know, something like that. Day 2 picks, not going to be the starter right away. Will be a great fill-in, a great backup, a great long-term plan. Yeah. So you know what's funny, because Gassy hit me up the other day, yesterday, and he's like, dude, I think this class is a little bit underlooked. I think we overlooked this class as being shitty quarterback class. I mean, I kind of agree with him. Like,
well, it's because we were like spoon-fed Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward for 3 months. It wasn't like there was any other quarterbacks.
That too, and like I still agree that like this isn't the strongest class, because there aren't like your number 1 and your number 2 guys aren't your number 1 overall, number 2 overall. They probably will be because of the need, necessity of a quarterback. But I don't see like the wow talent. Maybe Cam Ward, and that's pretty much it. Like, again, Jaxson Dart, late flyer. Zach Wilson was kind of a late flyer too, and then ended up being a second round pick or a second overall pick. So I see Jaxson hitting the first round, definitely. I see him definitely getting taken in the first round. I would love for it to be the Jets. I would take him in a heartbeat. But
I actually have a guy that's an Ole Miss fan. And he's been telling me Jaxson Dart for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. He's been telling me that this kid's going to be great in the league. He's been wanting the Cowboys actually to take him. Mm-hmm. Scared me there.
Sorry.
But I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this Super Bowl, it was the Chiefs and the Eagles. I want to ask you, over the last 5 years, who have been the most dominant two quarterbacks in the NFL?
Mahomes, Josh Allen.
But then from the NFC, you got Jalen Hurts probably.
Jalen Hurts.
In terms of winning.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
I would probably say Mahomes on the AFC, Hurts on the NFC. What did both of them do? They sat their first year and then came in. Like, is that the blueprint that teams should be looking at? Should we be, Cam Ward maybe could come in and start right away. Like, it all depends on the situation that your O-line is, your weapons are. But should more teams be bringing in that vet and letting these kids learn how to play in that, how to be in the NFL, not necessarily just how to be on the field, but off the field. There's a lot of stuff in New York that they go through. I mean, look at these Jets kids. They come in and the Jets media is grilling them. Like, dude, these kids just started playing pro football. 5 months ago, they were sitting in an Econ 303 class trying to pass while also going and practicing for 6 hours a day. And then on top of that, they got their let them learn a little bit.
You can't use the Jets in that an example, but you can use other teams. We're fucking impatient.
No, but that's
for a reason.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, we have to have some patience with these kids.
Yeah.
When you show patience, I mean, Bo Nix, there was patience with him, and now he's thought of as probably a top 10 to 15 quarterback in the league. Dak Prescott kind of got thrown into the fire, but he had Tony Romo with him the whole way. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts had to sit behind Wentz and then took over for him, watched a bunch. Bryce Young, we just saw him, got benched, sat behind Andy Dalton for a bit. Now he's back. I think that there's something to be said about being able to watch and learn. Sam Darnold.
Yep. Baker.
He got thrown into the fire. Baker got thrown into the fire. Mm-hmm. Then he had a few years where he got to just learn. There wasn't an expectation of this guy has to win. He was able to just learn, and now they're both getting contracts.
Yeah, I think it's like a yes and no thing, because if you look at the last 3 years when C.J. Stroud got drafted, obviously he started right off the bat. Davis Mills, he beat out Davis Mills, started and excelled his first year. Second year, not so good. It's going to happen. Anthony Richardson, I feel like the hit rate, right off the bat, if we're talking rookie year, right off the bat, is very low. It's lower than it should be. It's lower than it should be. I think Caleb, again, he was one guy who did okay, struggled.
I think he gets a bad rap.
He does get a bad rap. Yeah,
stats,
I'm still.
His stats should be equating to a better record.
There's so many things that have to get accounted for, like when you talk about the team, the O-line, the coaching. There's so many things too. But do I think it's smarter to at least draft and maybe sit a year? Definitely. Look at Michael Penix and the Falcons. Jordan Love. You don't really see a guy like Jaden Daniels do so well after 3 weeks and then make it to an NFC championship. It's so rare. The last time we really saw that was Herb and a little bit of Stroud. So I'm still an old-fashioned guy where it comes to let him sit a year, let him learn. There's no need to rush him because, again, if your team is not there, you're pretty much setting this guy up for failure. Listen, luckily Caleb's got Ben Johnson now, and they're going to address the O-line. That's going to help him. Yeah. But if they didn't address the O-line, they didn't really load up on offense, and they have the same coach and the same system, I think it hurts people at times, So I'm still a fan. I think Cam Ward, again, if you're drafting a guy that high, you're trying to start a guy right off the bat. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, maybe Jaxson Dart, all these other guys are going to be QB2s, and they're gonna sit and they're gonna learn, and that's gonna help a lot of these guys. They're not gonna be thrown into the fire and just be like, all right, figure it out. That. Hey, that's why there are 3 rounds. There are 3 days of the fucking draft, because some guys are ready, some guys aren't. So I see those 3 ready right off the bat. And listen, some are gonna struggle, but some are gonna excel, and I think Jaxson Dart and Cam are going to be the ones that excel.
Follow, subscribe, subscribe. Back to the show.
Receivers or running backs?
So let's talk receivers.
All right, let's do it.
I didn't watch running backs, I'll be honest. Real quick, the O-line combine, I don't know what they did at Lucas Oil Field, but they were slipping and sliding and almost tearing ACLs out there.
Yeah.
So you gotta groundskeeping crew out in fucking Indianapolis, get your shit together, because the old linemen are the guys you have to protect the most. Yeah. Will Campbell almost tore his ACL. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah. I was like, oh no. Got up, and a bunch of players. So it was really scary to watch. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So receivers. I think one guy who really jumped out, there's two guys that jumped out to me. Isaiah Bond looked awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously he's 40, but his hands, the way he's strong hands, great gauntlet drill. And Jack Besh out of TCU, I believe. Mm-hmm. White dude, white receiver, older.
What's that got to do with it?
You don't see a lot of them, you know? You just got to throw out the white receivers. I'll tell you what, man. He looked awesome. Like the way he ran, he's a bigger frame guy. I think he's maybe like 6'4". He was fast, good breakdown. His hands were like glue. Like he didn't run the 40, but the field drills, his draft stock shot up. I was really impressed with him.
Very smart of him to not run the 40.
Yeah.
Very smart of him.
100%.
They have him ranked 8th right now.
Yeah, him, Isaiah Bond, Higgins from Iowa State. I see him like a Mac Hollins prototype. Big body, big catch radius. Who else? Tez Johnson looked really good too. I know he's got a lot of hype because of the story with him and Bo Nix.
Yep.
He looked good. A lot of that first group of receivers, they were catching out there, man. They looked awesome. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Jordan Watkins, I think, is another guy. He was in the second group. And I believe a guy named Knoll in the second group. They killed it. So the drills that they did, they looked awesome. And I think that's it off the receivers. There might be one more guy, but Isaiah Bond stood out to me the most, and I would say Jack Besh. He looked excellent.
Yeah. Isaiah Bond's been the guy I've wanted the Cowboys to get since mid-season. I think I was saying it on here. You know, out of Texas, he runs good routes. He's got good hands. You know, I think he could work off CeeDee Lamb very well as a number 2. You know, I think you bring him into Dallas, and all of a sudden that team's a lot different. That offense is a lot different. But one guy that I think is still the best wide receiver
it's probably the one you're going to say.
In the country. Go ahead, say it.
Is it Luther Burden?
No.
Okay, because he looked good too.
He looked very good too. Mm-hmm. But I think Emeka just looks great. Igbuka.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see him in the combine.
You watch his film?
He didn't do the combine, did he?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I still think he's the best wide receiver. People are going to say Travis Hunter this. Dude, go watch any type of film. Watch that championship game. He's different. He's so good. He can high point a ball. He has great routes, great hands. He can run block. He leveled a guy in that championship game. I think he's very good. I think he's very good.
I'm with you. Just because, again, you look at the big 2 schools, like obviously any SEC school, like
I mean, look what the Eagles do.
LSU, Alabama, Georgia. Like you get those receivers, and you're pretty much getting a player right off the bat. And Ohio State. Look, Igbuka is interesting too because he was the wide receiver 2 for most of his career
until this year.
Not even this year. Jeremiah Smith, and then Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and was still putting up numbers. Yeah. I think that is actually going to take him very far in this league, and I think he's going to be a top guy. And he's a pro. Like you have the professionalism from him that you see. I'm very high on him too. Like, and a lot of I would probably put him in my top 3 for receivers coming into the draft. I'll put Travis in there, Tet. I like Igbuka, and a lot of the comparison right now is how do we compare Luther Burden to Igbuka and vice versa? Like those guys are, because Luther Burden didn't really have the best 2024 season. Had a great 2023 season. 2024 wasn't really getting that action, but the player is there. It's just when you look at those past numbers, like is that going to happen a lot? Is he going to have one good year and then he's going to fall off the next year? Or is a guy like Igbuka, who's pretty much almost been a 1,000-yard receiver his whole career at OSU, just going to do exactly what he's been doing? I think he's gonna. Like I see, I should not be throwing comparisons like this around. I'll do like a low comparison. I'll do a high comparison. For the low, I see a Josh Downs type, and he's young, great in the slot, great hands, smart. Like just catches the ball and will be smart, not take a hit. And then I see the upside is Amon-Ra. Like that is like, if you're talking about a guy who could play the X receiver and also play in the slot, and just demand targets and catch pretty much every single one of them, he can be that guy. I called Roman Wilson that last year. Obviously, he hasn't played at all because he's been hurt, but that type of player, smaller frame, very speedy, good hands, can separate. That's a guy you want in the draft. I'm very high on him as well. I'm hoping people don't realize that he's, an Ohio State quarterback or Ohio State receiver in the draft or fantasy drafts, but he might be a hey, would you blow me?
Dude.
A Southwest egg roll.
What's wrong with you?
This is my team name.
Great show, though. You know why? Because it's presented by Mesa Modern Mexican.
It sure is.
Pennsylvania, Easton, PA. So I guess not the heart of Pennsylvania, but it's right in the heart of Easton, PA. Great place to go eat. We got entrees there. We got drinks there. We got apps there. Go there and get 10% off your entrees today when you mention the B Team podcast sent you. Easton Bar Crawl next week or this weekend, this Saturday. Go over there. Mike's going to be there. Get yourself an entree, regroup after you fill your stomach with good St. Patrick's Day drinks across Eastern Pennsylvania. Mesa Modern Mexican is the place to be. All right, Mike, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, now you watched some of the running backs, did you?
No. Yeah.
I did not, so I want to hear your thoughts.
People are going to say that the running back market is not big, and it's just like Ashton Genty.
No.
You got
this is the strongest RB class in years.
These guys there's a lot of them. This is deep. I really don't think if you're in need of a running back, maybe Ashton Genty you take a leap on, right? Like I still think the Cowboys, you could still stretch out there and get Ashton Genty with that first pick.
You take him.
But the rest of them, dude, whoever's getting picked in the second round, you could get the same thing out of that person in the sixth round.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see a lot of running backs taken early in this draft. I think first round, second round, third round, maybe in the third round you'll see a couple, but first round you probably will only see Genty. Second round you might see, you might see Travion Henderson. You get
day 2 is going to be the day for a lot of these. Like these Amari and Hamptons, I see him creeping up into the first round.
None of them should waste their time going to the draft party. Just hang out with your parents, hang out with your friends, get a little wasted.
Yeah, there's so many guys, man.
You're not getting picked till the third day, second day.
Anyone stand out to you?
Travion Henderson.
In the Combine? So, yeah, we knew he was going to blow up the Combine easily.
I watched him all year. I wanted him since last year. He's the type of guy who, he's a freshman, he lights it up, but he's not draft eligible. It's like Ryan, what's his name? Ryan Williams?
Alabama.
Yeah, that you want him, but he's not draft eligible.
Yes.
So there's a couple guys in here, Omarion Hampton, I think you've been on him for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be very good in the league. But again, for running backs, it's very much a situation thing. You look at Najee Harris. We all thought Najee was going to be the best thing since sliced bread when he came out. And then the Steelers' run game was absolutely abysmal for his entire career there, which is why he's probably going to be moving on. You look at Saquon, probably the best running back to come out of the draft in the last 20 years. Couldn't get shit going in New York. Comes to Philly, 1 year, almost sets a single-season record. It's very much what situation do you get put in for these guys?
All comes down to the O-line.
Yes. Like even for Ashton Genty, he could come into the league and, if the team that drafts him's O-line sucks ass, he's going to be bad. He's going to be bad. And people are going to say, oh, there goes Genty. But it's really not their fault.
Yes.
If you put any of these guys, these big name guys that we just mentioned, you put them on the Eagles, they're probably rushing for at least 1,000, maybe 1,500 yards.
True.
Because that O-line's fantastic, and that team's run game's fantastic.
Yeah. There's one guy that I can't pinpoint yet, but I really think has a really high upside. So real quick, I think a lot of these running backs besides Travion Henderson are bell cow type players. Quinshaw Judkins. I don't think Scattaboo, and I'll get into him too. Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson. That's a guy that's kind of flying up my board a little bit just because of the way he runs and his physicality. A lot of these guys are downhill rushers, or guys like R.J. Harvey, Scattaboo, if you want to throw him in there. Travion Henderson, to me, is the one that is a little bit different where it comes to that's your PPR guy. That's a guy that's going to catch the ball a lot. That's a guy that's going to run through the gaps. He's going to provide a lot of value just based off everything, receptions, rushing yards. So it depends on what you want. Again, I think a lot of these teams, they're going by committee like every year in and year out. Like they're just getting closer to doing an RB by committee. I think most of these guys are probably going to be starters. They're going to be like bell cow, but I also think some of them will be by committee. Like let's get it out of the way. Genty, I think, is the solidified running back, will be a starter. If he goes to a place like Denver or maybe like the Chargers, he's in there and he's ready to go. Like that is their player. But a lot of these other guys like Omarion Hampton, he probably might not get a lot of work right off the bat, but you know what you have, and if an injury goes down, kind of like not like a Charbonnet, like he's gonna get his work.
Yeah.
But I see him. I like him like a Kenneth Walker. I see so much Kenneth Walker in Omarion Hampton. Maybe a little bit taller, a little bit leaner. I think Kenneth Walker was more bulky and sturdy. But those guys, man. I mean, if you're just getting into a dynasty draft at the moment, this is the draft to just load up on these players. You don't save the quarterback for last. Like you just got to get all of these rookies. This class is very important for the upcoming fantasy league because there are so many rookies that these guys don't know about that play casually. You got to load up on these guys because some of these rookies, like your BTJ, your Ladd McConkeys, your Malik Neighbors, they are just producing right off the bat.
Yeah.
And you're getting these guys. And I got Malik last year, I think in the 4th or the 5th round. Like these guys are going to wait it out. And if it actually pays off that you're getting these rookies, they're not even going to be starters on your team. You're just going to have them there. You use them for trade value. You use them for depth. You use them for a good matchup you see. This is such a fun draft class for all of these, and it's exciting. I mean, I feel like I haven't really seen this caliber of just immediate impact starters for not only fantasy terms, but also for your real teams in a while, especially when we talk about tight ends. We haven't talked about tight ends yet. There are a couple that are flying up the boards as well, so this is fun, man. This is going to be an exciting offseason.
Absolutely. I have 2 things before we move on. One thing, I have someone that I think is going to be a bust.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about it.
Dillan Sampson out of Tennessee.
Dylan Sampson? Okay.
Listen, I watch a lot of SEC football, and Dillan Sampson was a great player. Great player. But I don't know why I have this perception. Tennessee running backs just don't do it for me.
I think it's Cam for me.
And then I was watching him. Well, I don't, what, Scattaboo?
Yeah.
I don't have expectations for him.
Okay. Because I feel like ever since that last game where they got kicked out of the playoffs, everyone's like, oh, this guy's going to be a first round. I'm like, he might be a fullback.
Dude, I like him a lot, but I agree with you. He's probably a fullback.
Yes.
And he'll be a great fullback. You know, if he does play running back, I hope he does great. I love the
tenacity and the story.
I love all of it. Mm-hmm. I love everything he brings to the table. I just don't think he's going to be a top running back out of this class.
No, he'll
Same
go
thing with Dillan Sampson, though. But I think Dillan Sampson, I don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got it to be, a starting top 5, top 10 running back in the league. Like, I hope he proves me wrong, but I just don't see him being at the top of the charts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Some team's going to take him. He's going to go in probably the 3rd or 4th round, and I'm going to be sitting there like, he's probably going to go to the Eagles, and he's going to have a great O-line, and he's going to run for 1 million yards. He's going to take over for Saquon. And I'm going to be sitting here like, this fucking sucks. But That's where I stand on him. And going back to what you said about how there's so much depth at every position, how the talent pool is so big and it's so good, I think we have NIL to thank for that. Because you're looking at a lot of guys who we might not even know, but because of NIL and being able to in the transfer portal and be able to get out and go somewhere and be the number 1 guy and get your numbers and really show off your talent, where you're not having 3 top 10 wide receivers on the same team, and you can't really get a gauge of where they're all at because someone's got to be the number 1 guy, someone's got to be the number 2, someone's got to be the 3rd option, and I think that the talent pool is so big because of the transfer portal and NIL and the ability to move around and get the best guys across all these different teams in the best colleges in the country.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think
no, I hate it still.
No, I know.
But
you
I
hate
think
it,
for
but
this,
I think
fantastic.
No, it makes sense. One guy that I saw, even like during his collegiate career, but I think just based off his numbers and the way he looks, RJ Harvey out of, I believe it's either Army or UCF. That's one of my guys that's maybe like a late round. If we're talking fantasy, you draft him like the 4th round. Like these just could be sitting there. You're looking at names. You're like, all right, what name do I like? I like what he brings to the table. I think he's going to be sitting behind someone, and then maybe when they need a contract, he's going to fill right in. Kind of like a Zamir White situation in a way where Josh Jacobs was there. He gets traded, bam, gets bumped up to the role. That's kind of really all you're hoping for. You're hoping that they're going to at least get a shot to start, of course, but Zamir White really didn't pan out. Obviously, they brought in Madison. But, like, as long as you're at least getting the opportunity to be that RB1 at some point, and they seize that opportunity, bam, you're winning that pick. And that's what you want in the draft when it comes to fantasy and even in reality, too. Like, if you're taking guys like that in the 4th round, RJ Harvey, listen, he's going to sit for a couple years. Once he gets his shot, man, buckle up. Hopefully, it'll be a good ride. But it's exciting. I love it. The Combine is just like a little taste because – I don't know about you. The draft is April 24th, I believe, to the 26th. Yeah. We're getting closer. And it's
a month and a half away.
The last 2 years, it was such a drag because it was so far away. But now we're very busy. Like, it's honestly coming up super fast. So It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. There's going to be a lot of these guys that we're talking about going up in the first round. It's offensive heavy, dude. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Mike, we got to talk about 4 Wellness. So we're going to be hitting the links today, and you know what we're getting hyped up with? 4 Wellness. 4 Wellness. We got Phil's blend in this canteen over here, getting me hyped up to hit some bombs out here on the good old American golf course, playing at Riverview.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Fun.
First round of the year for me. What is it, 3rd for you?
Second?
Perfect. So when I beat you, this is no excuses.
Fuck off.
No, but seriously, 4 Wellness, guys, use this code right here. Get $15 off your first order. This stuff's really good. If you're a coffee guy, I highly suggest testing it out. Test the market here. Get the good stuff. Get the rehydration gummies, especially for when you're golfing or going to the beach or going to a baseball game or going to a basketball game. You need to be hydrated. You need to be hydrated. You know, go to the tailgate. Bring these. Be that guy that's, you know, looking out for your fellow drinkers at the tailgate. Get some rehydration. Get the good stuff. Get some coffee. $15 off your first order. Mike, show them where it is. It's right there. It's right there. Did
Colin, bunch of numbers.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that to us, but it is what it is. $15 off, that's what it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Mike, where do you want to start here? We got Tee Higgins. We got Sam Darnold.
Let's start with T.
All right, let's start with T.
So he's been such a wild card for the last couple of years, especially when it comes to his injury history. He's gotten injured a lot. He's got a tall frame, but he's skinny. And a lot of his routes are pretty much right down the middle. Like, he's getting those deep crossing routes in the middle. He's going for the long ball. But he's like a Tua, bro. He just can't fall correctly. And that is what has hurt him a lot in the past. But I think it's a good move for them. They're paying him, I think it's $26 million around there. I feel like they could have moved off of him and they could have taken someone in the draft, but I don't believe they trust their depth. Go ahead.
I'm going to stop you.
Breaking news?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm going to stop you because before you get too deep into this take, I got to bring this to your attention. So Tee Higgins is top 15 in both yards and receptions since he entered the league.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're pairing him with Jamar Chase, who they're planning to make the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL this offseason.
Which will happen.
They also have to pay Trey Hendrickson.
I don't know what they do with him.
He still has another year on his contract, but I think they get it done. I think they go for all 3 this offseason. That is the goal. Their GM said that that's the goal. I think they're going to get it done, and here's why. Trey and Jamar, 100% getting done. 100%. Since 2019, there's been, I think it's 8. Let me see. I might have it here. Yeah, 8 guys that have been franchise tagged twice in a row. All 8 have received a long-term deal and figured it out that offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I see the same thing happening here. I think the Bengals would be dumb to allow him to walk. I think they'd be dumb to see him play for another team. You could pair the best number 2 guy, who's a top 15 wide receiver in his own right, with one of the best, a top 3 wide receiver in the league, and one of the best, probably a top 3 quarterback in the league. If you don't do that, you got to start questioning the Bengals because they have been known as one of the stingiest organizations
100%.
for the longest time. Their facilities have been god awful.
Mm-hmm.
They had to walk across the street just to get the practice. You know, if they don't get this done, they're just they're going straight into that narrative once again. You sign these two, you're winning a Super Bowl in the next year and a half.
Mm-hmm. I think they should have at least just paid him the contract. I think they should have just
up on that.
Yeah, I saw that. Or I heard that. I think they should just give him the contract, honestly. Like, I don't really get why they just wasted $26 million for a year. Like, you could have maybe like just at least gotten a couple of years out of it. You know what I mean? But I don't know what their financial situation, like their cap space is either. But that's going to be a big thing about what my argument would be.
Yeah.
But listen. There are a lot of guys out there. There are a lot of guys in the draft that you could take. I know you don't want to get rid of that, and that's fair. Like, honestly, I get where you're coming from. I wouldn't either. But you're going to have to lock in for him now. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to believe that he could stay healthy. Because say he plays this year and he gets hurt and he's out for 8 weeks and then plays 2 games and drops 2 touchdowns in this. It's like, it's worth it. Like, yeah, he's got it. But, like, if he's missing 8 weeks because of injury, it's not worth it. So they're taking on that risk. But in the end, if he does stay healthy, I think it is going to reward them in a very good way. So I see why they did it. I just hope that they are using the money correctly because, again, there are a lot of guys in this draft. There are going to be a lot of guys next year in the draft. You're going to have to pay Jamar Chase. You're going to have to pay Hendrickson. Joe Burrow is fine. But you got to make sure that you're spreading the money around on defense. Again, that's the key for me, and that's why I think it wasn't – like if they moved off him, I would understand because they can at least rejuvenate a little bit of that cap space and that obviously the money. So, but listen, I'm not mad about it. That he has familiarity with the team and Burrow, and you bring it back a wide receiver, a really good wide receiver too. So I'm not mad about it. But
they still have 2 guys on rookie contracts as well behind them. So it's not like they're
Burton,
and they
Yoshi
got
Ross.
Yeah, like they don't need to worry about those guys right now. And if you can lock in Tee Higgins for 4 or 5 years, and you get Jamar, who's probably got a good 10 years left in him.
Oh, he's got
By the time that Tee Higgins, you're trying to trade him or you're letting him walk, you're probably going to be signing one of those other guys anyways or drafting someone new.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's any hurt in signing him, especially with where your team's at right now. You're a few pieces on defense away from, winning probably 15 games last year. If you get those few pieces this offseason, there's no reason why you should not make the playoffs, and 2, not be in the AFC Championship game.
Agreed.
There's there's no excuses. So I think this is a no-brainer. You sign Tee Higgins, you get Trey signed, you get Jamar, highest contract in the league, and from there, if you don't win, if shit hits the fan, at least you can say you tried, and no one's gonna blame you for signing Tee Higgins.
Yeah,
because the stats back it up. If you sign Jamar Chase and him, the stats back it up.
For sure.
Since they entered the league with Joe Burrow, they've been the best trio in the league. And I know it hasn't resulted in a Super Bowl yet.
True.
But if the defense gets figured out, you sign those guys, a Super Bowl is coming. Probably multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You got to get these headaches out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase, there was a headache last year coming into the season. There's going to be a headache this summer now because Tee Higgins coming into the season probably. Just sign them.
Yeah.
Just get the headaches out of there and let your team just play. Because Jamar Chase is out here posting on Instagram and Twitter like, what the are we doing? Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow's out here making comments like, just sign the guy. Mm-hmm. Every other team can figure out how to sign guys. Why can't we?
True.
Like, just get it done. Your best players are getting pissed off with you. If you don't sign him, I could see you lose. You could lose your top 2 players. You could lose Joe Burrow. You could lose Jamar Chase in the long run.
Yeah, and again, the familiarity with those guys, like obviously T was very disgruntled last year, especially with the start that they had. Obviously, Jamar was sitting out a little bit. He was demanding a trade. He wanted out, but I think when he was hurt, again, when he was off the field and he saw what they were doing when they played the Bills, when they were playing the Ravens and they lost, like they were putting up numbers, and like for him, it's like, man, like if I was out there, I could make a difference and we could win this game. And that's what brought him back because he believes what the Bengals have. He believes in Joe Burrow. He believes in Jamar Chase. Like he's going to help Jamar Chase. He's going to help Joe Burrow. So I give kudos to T for, like battling the adversity that we went through last year and sticking to his heart. And that's with the Bengals. Like, yes, he demanded a trade, but he's like, do I really want to do this? Is this right for me? No, he wants to come back, and hopefully he's going to make a difference.
Also, you're playing for probably the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Nobody, yeah, 100%.
Is it going to get better? You're not going to Kansas City, although they would probably try and figure it out. Mm-hmm. You're not going to Buffalo.
Nope.
Although they would probably try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you're definitely not going to Philly.
Mm-mm.
So where else are you going to go? You can't go to Detroit. They got their 2-3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got like 7 guys. But where else is better? I don't know if there's another quarterback out there that you can trust more than any of those guys.
And you're not going to be winning.
Or equal to.
Yeah, and you're not going to be winning a lot. So listen, is it worth taking a pay cut to play with Joe Burrow? Might be. You're still making millions. You're going to be fine. So
at the end of the day, is it that much of a pay cut when you're winning a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm. And you're making, maybe $15 million a year? No. Sounds pretty nice.
It is. I think if the Bengals don't get this done, it's going to be another train wreck year for them.
Yeah, well, at least they now have him under contract for a year. They got the tender, so.
They're going to get a deal done. They'll get a deal done.
It depends on how he does, man.
They have until July 15th.
Yeah.
They'll get something.
Okay.
Something will get done.
All right. They'll get done.
All right. Sam Darnold.
I like it. Now, all right. Give me your spiel, Sam Darnold. I know you got the news.
So, I mean, they're not franchise tagging him. They're not going to do that. So they're going to try and work a deal. I don't see him getting a bag, and here's why. Sam Darnold he had an outer body experience last year. That was not Sam Darnold played out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
But his ceiling was reached when we made the playoffs. When the Vikings got into the playoffs, we saw his ceiling. You know, he struggled those last couple weeks. Does that mean he's going to struggle all year? No. But I don't think he's the Vikings franchise guy to say, all right, here, take all of this money and let's see what happens. Right? It's kind of like the meme where the guy throws something in the pan and it just lights on fire. Like, that's kind of what the Vikings would be doing if they signed Sam Darnold to a massive contract.
I agree.
The only way you do that right now is if, one, JJ, you can already tell is not the guy, and he's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And two, if you don't trust any of the quarterbacks that will fall to you in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that you look at Sam Darnold and say, here's a bag. And, you know, I think they've kind of made up their mind because
the way Kevin O'Connell's been speaking too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they're trying to make a deal with Sam Darnold and it hasn't been figured out yet, I can't see him getting that much money. He's definitely it might be a decent amount, but it ain't going to be what some of these other guys are getting right now.
I think a lot of these other teams that are obviously not where the Minnesota Vikings are, I think he will get a bag from them. If JJ was not on this team, this would be a whole different conversation. If JJ McCarthy was not on this team, they would have no other choice than to sign Sam Darnold. But I'm looking at it like the Stafford route in a way where he should test the market. They should allow him out of respect because, again, Minnesota just revived his career, huh?
Isn't he a free agent?
Yeah, he's gonna be a free agent. But like Minnesota, obviously he's talking with
he can
Minnesota
test it on his own.
Yeah, but I think Minnesota should just he's gonna test it on its own. Okay, you got me there. But I wouldn't take it out of the picture. But like again, like you're gonna have to really find a decent price to pay him at. Again, there are so many other teams in this league that will gladly take Sam Darnold. He's one of the biggest quarterback free agents in this year's free agent class. So he's going to get the bag. And they should let him get the bag. You know, again, you had him for a year. You didn't make it. I mean, you made it far. Lost first round in the playoffs, but you had a great regular season. He had a great regular season. I think they just believe in JJ. I think it's time that they're like, you know what? I think JJ's the guy. We drafted him for a reason. We're gonna play him. We're gonna play him. Sam Darnold, we didn't expect this. We knew he's a good quarterback. We didn't expect this. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened in the playoffs, and again, I think that's what hurt him. But who knows what's gonna happen? I don't know. It's a tough decision on their hands because if say Sam Darnold wants $15 million a year, like that's not bad. Like, do you want to just come run it back with Darnold and build around him? Get him better weapons, maybe. I mean, they're pretty good to begin with, but
they have good weapons.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean.
Where do they go from here?
He showed where his ceiling is at, right? Because they have great weapons. We just talked about Jamar Chase.
I don't want to believe it.
JJ is the best wide receiver in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson's best wide receiver in the league. And if you couldn't figure out how to get him the ball consistently, I don't know if you're the guy. Joe Burrow figures out how to get Jamar Chase 15 touches a game. Why is Justin Jefferson not getting that?
He was getting some touches.
Yeah, but in the most important games of the year,
true.
When the Bengals' backs were against the wall, how many touches was Jamar Chase getting?
That's
he was getting
fair.
15 to 20, right? So same thing with Dak and CeeDee. When their backs were against the wall, CeeDee's getting the ball 15 times a game. I don't know why Sam Darnold's throwing to guys we've never heard of. Like, maybe he's seeing ghosts again. I don't know. But I think his ceiling is seeing ghosts in the playoffs.
I don't want to bite the bullet right off the bat because, again, this was a big topic of conversation when like, all right, Sam Darnold getting a contract. We've had this conversation. Like, it was all dependent on what he did in the playoffs. And obviously, that first game was rough. Am I going to just be like, hey, is that his ceiling? Is he only just going to be a first-round exit guy like the Steelers? I don't. In my heart, I want to say no, but in my head, I'm like, that can be him. But it was his first time in the playoffs. I will give him that. I'm not going to make excuses for the guy, but I think he, regardless, deserves a bag, and I hope he helps a franchise out.
No, I think he's earned that right.
Yes.
But when you have a J.J. McCarthy behind him, and if you believe in him, and if you
different scenario,
use a first-round draft pick on J.J. and you want to see what he can do, right? I don't know if you're throwing $40 million around at a guy who had one good year and you're hoping he can recreate that.
Out of 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
Especially after, I mean, he left a sour taste on your tongue in the last game. It wasn't like he got knocked out and he threw for 350 and lost by 3, right? Yeah. Had 2 touchdowns. No, that wasn't the case. He was dreadful. That pick of him with the face mask in the end zone will forever be the lasting image of that season, unfortunately. It shouldn't be, but that's what it is.
We've never seen anything like this where a one-hit wonder, like a one-year wonder, goes 14-3. Like, dude, I was at work yesterday. They had the Packers and the Vikings on, and they were 13-2. And I'm like, dude, Sam really cooked up this year. Like, when's the last time we've seen something like that besides maybe Brady? But again, they were 9-7 when they made the playoffs.
Wasn't it the first time we had 14-2 versus 14-2 or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, divisional opponents.
Yeah,
dude, he was almost a top 5 quarterback. Like, you don't see that. Like, Baker's one thing because in the Browns he actually took him to the playoffs, won a playoff game against the Steelers, goes to the Panthers. Just obviously turmoil between the two of them, and then goes to the Bucs and is lighting it up. Like, well, I don't see how the Vikings can look at him and just be like, is this our franchise, and is he going to stay here for 4 or 5 years? I just don't see how they do it.
So I think there's a difference between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Career-wise, very similar on paper. Mm-hmm. But when you look at Baker, you remember him at Oklahoma. You remember him in those early years with the Browns. People forget the Browns weren't bad.
They were not.
They were not bad in his first couple of years with them. And then some stuff happened. He moved on. He went here, there.
Deshaun Watson.
And now he's down in Tampa. But he's always had that memory in people's minds of him being a winner. So when you look at Baker, he knows what winning is. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold, all right,
didn't have that.
USC. No one watched the Pac-12 really. Right? You had to stay up till 11 o'clock to watch Sam Darnold. And even then, USC wasn't competing for championships, right? He comes into the league, he's on the Jets, and you have the seeing ghost stuff. The Jets weren't great. You have Adam Gase, right? I don't mean to bring
Robbie
that back up
Anderson.
But it's just like Sam Darnold, you don't look at him and you're like, winner, right? But Baker, you do. So I think that's
a good point.
There's perception to it as well.
Yeah, there is.
Sam Darnold, he might not be a one-hit wonder.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to fully put your heart into him? I don't know that you can. Whereas the Tampa and Baker, you have that perception of him being a dog. He's that guy. He's a winner. And you're willing to put your heart into him.
Sam Darnold, if we're talking about perception, when I saw him, especially in a Jets uniform, I saw potential. That was mine. It wasn't like, this guy's a dog, like he's got that New York grit to him. Nah, it was just, he's going to do the right things. He's going to go through his reads. He's going to be accurate, and he's going to show potential. For Baker, it was like 100%. I'm with you here. I saw a dog in him. Like, yo, this dude is gonna run through someone's freaking chest. He's gonna go for the first down. He's gonna put his shoulder down, and he doesn't give a shit what's gonna happen. Sam was different. Sam was, let me, deceive the safeties. Let me look off a safety, hit JJ, blah, 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 hit Robbie Anderson. We don't have to go down that road. But I know exactly where you're coming from when it comes to perception, because obviously when Sam's losing, it's, oh, this dude's a typical another bust. When Baker was losing, it was a little bit different. It was like, it wasn't a bust, but he needs the right system, blah, blah, blah. He needs to be in the right spot. Sam never got that treatment because he was he was on San Francisco. No one knew about that. He was a quarterback too in San Fran. No one knew that. No. And then he goes to the Vikings. People are like, oh, Sam Darnold this, and then bam, shows out like potential. Like that is the only description I can make for Sam is potential. Yeah. Baker, whole different ballgame because he was getting those starting jobs most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's a good place to leave that conversation at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much else. Do you have anything?
Slay, real quick.
I mean, we can touch.
I think he's done. I think he retires.
It's unfortunate though, like because I think he does have another 2 years in him.
I think so,
and
too.
I think he would have been good to keep around for because they're very young. In the secondary. They're very young on defense in general. And he's a veteran guy who, he was kind of Philly through and through. This is weird coming from a Cowboys fan. But when I watched the games, he was like kind of everything Philly fans embodied.
Definitely.
The way he was on the field, the way he talked, the confidence.
The way he played.
The charisma. Yeah, it was just... And I think that's something that, Philly is going to miss in the locker room. Having that type of guy where... I think the young guys are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. They showed it this year. So many of them played in that Super Bowl and dominated in that Super Bowl. I mean, Cooper DeJean was almost Super Bowl MVP. But I'd have to think that Darius Slay played a big role in that group, being so together, being so confident, being ready for that moment. And I think Philly's going to miss him more than they think. I think, that $4 million that they're going to save on the cap, is it going to be worth it? I don't know. So I think he does deserve to retire an Eagle, especially after this past season.
Mm-hmm. He might retire a Lion, bro.
He might. I think that would kill Eagles fans if he retired a Lion.
It would, but most of his career was there, and obviously, he was known as one of the top cornerbacks for Detroit, and obviously
definitely.
It's Detroit we're talking about. It's not like he was there in the Dan Campbell era.
It's kind of like Matt Stafford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like he's known as a Detroit Lion. Obviously, wins a Super Bowl with the Rams, but when you're thinking about Matt Stafford, 55% of people are gonna, maybe 60% of people are gonna think Lions, and then 45 are gonna think whatchamacallit, the fucking Rams.
The Rams.
And I think the same with Slay. I think Slay should retire a Lion, but he will always have a place in Philly, fans' hearts. You won a Super Bowl. I think you take the high road, and you just listen. I think he still has some left in the tank too. But you won a Super Bowl, man. You did it. You got the main accomplishment. Right call it a career, man. You did great.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Look at Peyton Manning. Same thing.
I just think it's almost like an Andre Iguodala situation where Andre Iguodala he's Sixers legend. Call a spade, Sixers legend. But then he goes to Golden State, and he has that type of impact on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And now he had his jersey retired, I think it was last week. And he has all these guys coming back that are around the league. They're coming. They played against the Mavs, and Klay Thompson's walking out the Mavs game holding up the bus because he wants to watch this. I think Darius Slay had that type of impact on this Eagles defense.
Definitely.
So that's why I'm saying maybe not retire an Eagle, but there should be some type of,
definitely
something for him once he does retire with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. And it was such a small sample size too, which is why it's tough. Again, look at Manning, bro. I mean, he's known as a Colt. You will always think of it as a Colt. And then his best work, he goes to Denver, makes it to 2 Super Bowls, gets absolutely shit blown out in one of them, and then wins the other. And it's hey, I just came here, won a Super Bowl, I'm good.
And he had the touchdown record.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So
does
obviously,
he still have that?
I think he does.
He does, right?
So obviously he's not going to retire a Bronco. We all know that. John Elway's not letting that happen.
No.
So he's going to retire a Colt. I think it's kind of the same thing. He won't retire a Philly Eagle. He'll retire a Lion, where obviously he's made such a good career out of Detroit. So good for him, man. Again, great year. It was just a good year for those guys on the Eagles team to get a Super Bowl. Everything fell into place.
I agree. Well, all right. Let's get out of here.
See you guys.
Subscribe.